Shut up, Yankum.
And on that Shut Up Yankum, we're back.
He was telling us about how he was particularly aroused by the fact that Vince McMahon had words and he wrote them down himself, and that he was reading them. It was really bad. He overloaded his internet, and we're back.
Hey, what I speak to is none of your business.
That is absolutely disgusting.
So is your face.
Sick burn. Alright, let's do it. Ice cream. Alright, so I'm gonna do the new thing. Okay, new thing.
Points! I've been scoring you guys throughout the episode. Here's how it goes so far. -3 to Gunner for saying, have you seen this? You are not Letterman. So just don't. +1 to Omega just because. -5 to Gunner for not being able to use the word exception without stumbling all over himself. +2 to Omega for knowing Dixie's fetishes. -27 to Gunner for talking with his mouth full. +4 to Omega for referencing Sisyphus. And 2
I
to Omega.
Sisyphus.
Shut up. 2 to Omega.
That sandwich was delicious.
For spawning Dixie and Magnus fan fiction. -5 to Gunner for getting my hopes up that Gawker could fold. It's probably just never going to happen. +2 to Gunner for the horse game. 5 to Omega for the OVW Batista fanfic that I'm going to start writing as soon as this episode is over. +1 to Gunner for reminding me of that sexual harassment angle. -3 to Gunner for tricking me and giving me a false spoiler. +4 to Omega for the word ruckus, and 2 more for adding to the news story that he was reading. -1 to you, Gunner, for monologuing during the 15-minute time limit, and -2 to Omega for disappearing. 3 to Gunner for explaining the Beast in the East special, and then another -5 for roboting while doing it. 3 to Omega for filling me in on the leaked document. -3 to Omega for getting my hopes up for a Lawler joke that never came. And 5 for talking up PTP. And finally, 4 points more to Gunner for pay window.
So this is a tally of how much we've entertained you this entire episode since you've gotten rid of the debate segment.
That is correct.
And I'm at like -30 or something like that.
No, I like this. I think this is a thing we should do every episode.
Oh god.
So basically, our 6 viewers can just skip ahead about 40 minutes into the episode to get a nice little recap.
Right.
There you go.
I'm trying to figure out the formula to get this to add up the score in the Google spreadsheet that I've made for this that we will have every episode from now on.
What's the score?
Well, I'm trying to get I'm trying to figure out the formula. I know it's like sum B2 through BX equals, and then it'll give the...
Alright, whatever. We'll get to that at the end of the show, but right now we're going to get into the ratings. Impact this week. Impact featured a new TNA World Champion being crowned, EC3, baby. Drew 267,000 viewers, 28% drop from last week's 369,000. Everyone knows Impact is going away, and they are tuning out. But ROH only drew 157,000, and both had the lowest audience for a first-run airing. SmackDown drew 2.265 million viewers, the lowest since moving to Thursdays. And Raw drew a 3.47 million, up 5% from last week. That's pretty good, considering that Brock Lesnar was on this show. And Tough Enough did 1.221 million, and the best number so far this season. So, that little ratings boost from Seth Rollins is actually a draw. Go figure. You gonna do the birthday, Jankum?
Sure. week in the birthdays, we've got Richie Steamboat on the 7th, Altar Boy Luke on the 8th, Mark Marrow, who is a piece of human garbage and should just go fuck himself and never have anything to do with wrestling again and never have any kind of opinion on wrestling again, because fuck him and his bullshit, cash-grabbing, attention-seeking fuckwad attitude. He can just go fucking walk in the ocean and never come out, as far as I'm concerned. Kevin Nash, PN News. On the 10th, we got Bobo Brazil, Johnny Grunge, and Billy Jack Haynes. On the 11th are Butch Reed and Tyson Kidd. On the 12th is El Generico, who I hope he's happy down there in Mexico, helping all those orphans out. And the Hurricane, Stand Back. On the 13th, it's Chris Cash, Jake Chris, Necro Butcher, Grizzly Redwood, and Sean Waltman, X-Pac.
And now it is time for This Week in Wrestling with Omega BR.
Yes, This Week in Wrestling History, circa 1983, where Ric Flair challenges NWA World Champion Harley Race twice in one day. Flair fought Race to a double disqualification in Sumter, South Carolina, during a matinee event, and that evening, Flair defeated Race by DQ in Greenville, South Carolina. Jump to 1991, where the Ballroom Brawlers defeated Jeff Jarrett and Robert Fuller for the USWA Tag Team titles in Memphis, Tennessee. And in 1992, the Moondogs, Spot and Cujo, defeated Jerry Lawler and Jeff Jarrett for the USWA Tag Team title in Memphis, Tennessee, ending Lawler and Jarrett's second title reign.
I don't think you can get any more Tennessee than that.
And that is This Week in Wrestling History.
So I got the, before we get into the habit trails, I got the final score wrangled up here. It's negative 39 for Gunner and 23 for Omega.
Let's see how far down I can go.
We both know the answer to that. Everyone knows the answer to that. It's all the way. All the way down.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? I mean, they need to get the lowest score and Omega to get the highest.
Well, no, I was making a reference to your preference to give oral sex to men because you're gay.
Spoken like the true homophobe that you are from in the middle of buckfuck nowhere, Indiana. There you go, guys. Happy trails to Yankum's dignity.
Well, here's the thing. There's gay, and then there's gay for pay, which Gunner does. And I have no respect for gay for pay. Because
how do you think Yankum got his new computer?
Well, I'll tell you what. That thing was fucking huge, and I am full-on gay now. If you saw this thing, you'd turn gay too. You know the bat in, what's that sandbox game? The big purple dildo bat? It was like that, but bigger and veinier.
Personally, I'm not a big fan of gay for cray. I mean, crayfish aren't that expensive.
No, they're not. And they are quite delicious, to be perfectly honest. Alright, what should we watch this week in wrestling? Yankum?
Well, I didn't get to watch any wrestling hardly at all this week, but the little bit I did see, I really liked the little bit of Raw I got to see, especially the confrontation with Bork and J&J and Seth Rollins. Except for beating the shit out of that Cadillac, Jesus Christ, I cried. Like, I full-on tears, sobbing, snot coming out of my nose.
So did the kid that got clobbered with the door.
Yeah, you just don't do that with the Cadillac. You just don't. that was exactly what that confrontation should have been. When he pulled those fucking axes out of the box, and I was like, oh God, what the fuck is he going to do with those? And he starts beating the shit out of the Cadillac. And, J&J get their ass kicked, and then here comes Brock swooping down the ring, and Seth Rollins nopes the fuck out like I've never seen before in my life. It was great. That's exactly what that should have been leading up to the pay-per-view.
I perfectly agree. Also, that kid was fine, by the way. The one that got clobbered by the door.
I figured it would be. Those cars are made out of plastic now. You'd be hard pressed to.
Well, it was the steel frame of the door, so he could have clobbered the kid. But it's besides the point. Omega, what should we watch this week in wrestling?
Well, I hate to dip into the Raw pool just the same, but really that main event of Cena versus Cesaro was a true main event. They really allowed them to go all the way. They gave it plenty of time, at least 20 minutes if I remember right. Very intense, a nice show of both men's skills. Probably even better than last week's, was it last week? Yeah.
Last week, yep.
I kept waiting for Owens to wreck it again, which didn't happen. I'm not a huge fan of the way that Owens kind of didn't do anything and then ran in only to get AA'd, but we still got a week until the event and everything. So, but really, it was, it's very rare you get to see a true main event like that on Raw anymore, and they did allow it to happen. It was very set up to be allowed to happen, so it's worth watching.
It was a really nice match. It was one of my matches to suggest for this week. I have two, actually. The first one I'm going to suggest is Baylor, Baylor Owens, from this past, from the Beast in the East special. And I'm also going to suggest the Okada Styles match. Think about this for a second. AJ Styles and Okada were in TNA at one point or another, and Okada was AJ's young boy, and they main evented the number 2 promotion in the entire world. Think about that. Alright, that's it for this week. Thank you all for listening. We really appreciate it. You can check us out online at smarksnark.com, twitter.com/smarksnark, where Yankum calls me a slacker, facebook.com/smarksnark, snarksnark@gmail.com if you'd like to get a hold of us and you're like, a promoter or a wrestler or something like that and you want to get a little more exposure, blah, 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 you can come on the show. Then we also have a phone number, and that phone number is
812-408-WOO! That's 812-408-9666.
Alright.
Houston, you're on line 1. Go!
Stop it.
I'm in a mood tonight. I don't know what's wrong with me.
It's probably the fact that you didn't watch any wrestling this week.
It ruined my week.
Now, Jester, when you get hungry, you start acting like Yankum. You should have a Snickers.
Oh, go fuck yourself in the ass with a rusty ace needle, you son of a bitch. If you were a salsa, you'd be paste picante sauce, you motherfucker. I don't know where that came from. I'm sorry. Can we end the show now?
All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much for listening, and we wish you well in your past, present, and future endeavors.
Good night, Ned Jester's mom. Happy birthday.
And good night, Troy.